Alf, we are really screwing this up. I don't think that people and the companies, they really understand the art of collecting. We're going to talk all about this today. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? We have made it to the end of the week. I hope that you all are doing amazingly well and have an amazing weekend ahead. I'm actually heading over. My kids are in college and we're going to go watch a college football game this weekend. And we've got like a Halloween party and all sorts of different things that are going on. So it's going to be good times. Before I dive in, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Pristine Auction. I actually just won a couple early issues, CGC graded early issues of Nintendo Power. You guys know that I collect all the things, 80s and 90s nostalgia stuff, and a couple of early issues. I think it's like first cover of Zelda, first cover of Castlevania. I'm excited to get these. I've got a link down below and a code to get you $10 off your first victory down there over at Pristine Auction. So make sure to check it out. Do not hesitate. Also, as promised, 30% off the Card Capsule site. This is the time to get your supplies, guys. Shop 30. Shop 30 is the code over there on Card Capsule. Again, link down below to take you to the website. 30% off waterproof cases, sleeves, top loaders, all the goodness down there at Card Capsule. Get the best supplies for the best prices. That's what we're after, right? And then, of course, we've got Air Show 23 coming at the end of April 2025. Start planning ahead. This is a Michael Jordan only focused event. Think about a trading card show, but it's just Michael Jordan stuff. And not just trading cards for him as well. It's going to be all sorts of sports memorabilia focused around Michael Jordan. And where is it being held? In my backyard, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where he made the shot to win the championship down there at UNC. Reach out to me if you want more information about the Air Show, how to exhibit, how to attend, that sort of stuff. All right, I caught an amazing episode, and I'll put a link down here below. I think it was on Complex. I think that's the name of the YouTube channel. Anyway, I'll put a link down in the video description. And it was Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista, yes, the wrestler slash actor, talking about his collection of vintage lunchboxes. And not that I have any sort of a huge collection. I've got one that I picked up at the Raleigh card show here locally, going back maybe about a year. And it's got the thermos inside. It actually made me think of kind of like Masters of the Universe. I think I had a Thundercats lunchbox or something when I was a kid, so it made me think about this. But Bautista is talking about his collection. He's got a wicked display of all of these vintage lunchboxes and explaining why they are meaningful to him. And his story, I think, is really relatable. He mentions that he was really poor as a kid. Now he's older, he's got extra money, and there's these things, these nostalgic things that he's got a personal connection to, and he wants those items, and he's able to now afford, when it comes to these lunchboxes, he's getting the best looking ones. He actually calls them minty fresh. So they are available, as he said. Like, you can go out and you can find these vintage lunchboxes, but a lot of them are really beat up, kind of like the one that I've got. It's not in pristine condition. He's got ones where he's paying up for the quality of the actual item. You know, it's something that might have been sitting in a warehouse and never saw the light of day. And it's from, you know, he's got a Beatles one from the 50s. He's got a really awesome display there. But the main thing that struck me that he was talking about was, when he was talking about collecting, it was the stuff that really triggers his nostalgia. You know, for me, clearly, it's 80s, 90s type stuff. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And of course, we all know there is a truckload, an absolute treasure trove of IP that was born out of those two decades. It was like the most creative pop culture time in history, the 80s and the 90s, when it comes to music, when it comes to movies, when it comes to all sorts of different characters that were born out of that time. Even so much so that now all the movies, they're all just remakes of 80s, 90s stuff. Have you noticed that? Transformers, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, blah, 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 go on and on. But I think people like myself just crave a simpler time. I think some would argue maybe better times. You know, times where it was just, life was a little bit simpler. You know, now it feels like it's complex. It's gotten strange in a lot of areas, the world that we live in today, where you're like, really? This is what we're talking about? This is an actual issue that we're talking about? But that's where we're at. And so I think a lot of people, they look back and they appreciate these items, this stuff, this IP, these shows, these movies, these athletes, and so forth. And of course, that brings us to where we are today. A lot of talk about 10xing the hobby and this and that and whatever.
School's closed. It's a holiday, you dumbasses. Whoa.
there's a big failure, I think, that's happening here. I've talked about it. I'm going to keep on talking about it. And it is the huge push to, on one hand, you hear fanatics talk about we need to 10x the number of collectors, but then we get to the distribution model and it's a carnival game. It is literally step right up, kids, step right up.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Make 3 baskets, win a pack. It's all a gambling event. It's a stupid gambling event. That is literally what it is. Topps actually has an amazing commercial. The basis of the commercial is essentially a dad and a son, and the dad has these cards that he had. I think he got them from his dad. And the son says, how much is this one worth? And the dad says, everything. Perfect. Perfectly done and perfectly executed, because that is really what we are doing here. Yes, of course, on the channel, we'll talk about price movements up and down, and we speculate on some things, of course, yes. But the price movement up and down, for me anyway, is so I can make smart buys. Look, just like if I'm buying a car, if I'm buying a new fridge, if I'm buying a vacuum cleaner, I want to pay the least amount for the best one. I think that's what everyone is trying to do, or should be. I mean, if we're trying to manage our money properly, and look, now in the world where everything is mega expensive, it has never been more apparent that we need to pay attention to where our money goes. So for me, when I'm looking at price movement, I want the best stuff for the lowest price, and I don't think I'm alone there. But the essence of the thing is that you actually have to really like the stuff. When we're talking about trading cards, we're talking about all sorts of different collectibles. There's an element of, do you actually have a connection to these things? And the problem is that for a lot of the gambling side, this could be any widget. This could be any damn thing. And it's just, buy into this and buy into that. We've got the new product rolling out. It's, look at this pile of shit that we're rolling out. And it's $1 zillion, and you've got a 1 in a million chance to get the hit out of it. It's like, it's actually really embarrassing, because Topps has the most prolific brand in the entire hobby. If I was running Topps marketing, if I was in that room talking about it, I'd say, why are we not running more commercials about stuff that we already did that is iconic? 52 Topps, that set. Hell, not even just 52 Topps. Look at 53 Topps Willie Mays card. That's an unbelievable card. Back then they didn't have photographs of them playing. It was illustrations. It was actual artists, that made the pictures for the cards. Why is there not more of a focus, and not necessarily around the PSA 10 version or the 8, the 7, the cost of it, but just what went into making those cards? What were the players' thoughts on trading cards back then? Really zeroing in and focusing on the meat and potatoes of how did these cards get made, what went into it, the history of the cards. If you look at baseball card collectors, the vintage card collectors specifically, they're collecting history more than they are a piece of cardboard. They are collecting memories of great players of the past and what those players meant to the hobby moving forward, kind of laying the groundwork for the sport and for the card collecting hobby. You look at a guy like Ted Williams. Look, I've seen all these different memes. I've shared them on Instagram where it's like Ted Williams, and I don't remember the exact stats, but let's just kind of throw out some stuff. It's basically like, won the World Series 3 years in a row, then went to World War II, then came back and won the Triple Crown. I'm making stuff up because I don't remember exactly what it is, but these were actual real men back then that were just playing for the love of the game. They weren't playing for multi-million-dollar contracts. They probably had second and third jobs, a lot of them. These guys literally played ball, went to war, then came back and played at a high level. And think about that. That was going to World War II, where you're in the trenches. You talk about PTSD, and you basically drop out of a plane into a war zone. It's just insane. It's insane to think about, where are those stories? And it shouldn't be limited to just baseball, football, and basketball. Topps has made a lot of great basketball cards over the years and football cards over the years. I mean, the football card side, I'm a football card collector mainly, but man, there is so much opportunity to just put some energy into the Topps brand of football cards going back in time. It's endless, but now when you look at it, it's like, who's making that content? It's like random, basement YouTubers like me, they're trying to talk about it. We don't have high production studios like a Topps would or Panini would or whatever. Why is that not more of a heavy focus? There's so much focus on the new product, the Mercury, the Comet hitting, and we've got the Wemby cards and this, the $8,000 box. Man, there is no shortage of the new product excitement stuff. But when you're going to the mainstream, really most of the mainstream audience, it's the 40-something-year-old dads like me that don't give a damn about the new product type stuff. What we care about are either, you could say, the vintage stuff or really 80s, 90s. Man, if I look at my YouTube analytics, the majority, like 60% of my audience is between 35 and 50. That is where most of my audience lives. Only about 10% of my audience, I think, is like 18 to 25 or something like that, younger audience. Leave that up to the Roths and the Mojos and those guys. That's probably heavier on their demographics. Most of my demo, and we're the ones really, if you look at kind of like, hey, we're at an age where we've got disposable income. We've got money. We're looking for that nostalgic connection. There is not a nostalgic connection for my age group to the Wemby, whatever the hell, or this new thing or whatever. You've got to draw in. Just like you have the new Ghostbusters remake and the Transformers remake, you got to pull in these guys, from the 80s, 90s. Dude, I want to see more Randy Johnson, Mark McGuire, bring in Sammy Sosa, bring in some of these guys, Ruben Sierra, bring in some of these guys from the 80s, and then coming into the 90s, Frank Thomas, talking about different things, cards, and what all of that era meant for them. These are lost opportunities, and you can find a way to make the commercial. I don't wrap in that stuff and then bring it full circle with a new product that you've got. But you have got to wrap in what you already did. And to top it off, even on the basketball and football side, you don't even have licensed products. So you're trying to, we're selling now overpriced, unlicensed cards. Why is there not more focus on the history of Topps? Why is that not running to the mainstream? Because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of dads like me out there that if I'm just coming into this, my kid is all into cards and I'm all excited. Let's say that I'm getting back, I'm like, oh my God, I collected cards. My kid's into cards. Let's go into a card shop. Let's go in and figure out what's what. Oh, okay, wait, hold on a second. All right, so for me to get cards, it's either $1,000 for a hobby box, or my other option is that I need to play a carnival game. I need to make 3 baskets so that I can be entered into a spot to then win a pack. Are there any other options? How do we open packs? And really the story ends with, you want to open up affordable packs? You need to go back and open 88 Topps, 1990 Donruss. That's where you and your kid can open up packs that are affordable and you can relive those childhood memories. Or you buy into the singles market and you skip opening packs and boxes. It's insane to me that the distribution model that we're now, this is it. This is what we're doing now. We're going to put it to the breakers. The majority of it's going to go to breakers because they're the ones that are going to pay up on that Dutch auction or whatever the hell. And then they're going to price it up. And so really the barrier to entry to get into a new Topps Chrome product or whatever is actually pretty high in comparison to what you're actually getting out of those boxes and actual value out of it. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, hold on a second. You're talking about collecting. So you shouldn't care about those prices because you're a collector and you don't care about values of cards. Even if you don't care about values at all, why am I buying into a $1,000 box or buying into an expensive break spot when I can just go onto eBay and just buy the card of the player that I want for a fraction of me trying to gamble into it? Again, the distribution model, it's carnival games and BS. We don't have any sort of a structure that makes any sense. So if you're serious about 10xing collectors, 10xing the hobby and all this, where are the nostalgic type commercials? Where is Bo Jackson? Where is Mark McGuire? Where is Deion Sanders? Where's all these guys that were around back then that I was watching that the people with a disposable income have been that we're wanting for it? What's crazy too is when you look at companies and lead gen, how much does it cost to get a new customer? How much does that cost to get a new customer? For a lot of companies, it's really expensive. And in this world that we're in, and Rob from Burbank Cards actually said this perfectly. He said, this is going back a year ago before he made his deal with Fanatics. So I'm watching very closely to see how Burbank is going to handle their breaks and all their stuff because they've never done breaks. Burbank Cards over there. And what Rob said is, why am I excited about getting in my customers into a break where 80 to 90% of them are going to lose and leave my store unhappy? This is what he said. So I'm sure how he's going to do it is probably going to be that, like, oh, you didn't get anything? Here are singles of the players you wanted. That's what he's going to do. I'm absolutely certain of it. He's going to make sure that everybody walks out of there with cards of players that they wanted. I'm almost positive of that. Now, how many breakers are doing that? How many breakers are doing that to where they're making sure that, okay, this person bought into a Phoenix Suns break. There wasn't any Phoenix Suns cards, so sorry, you're out your money. How many people are then sending off, hey, I'm sending you over Phoenix Suns cards to make sure that you got something out of this? I don't think that there's that many of them. And that's kind of the problem here. We can't run commercials playing on the nostalgia of the father, the son, the collection being passed down and talking about how, oh man, this is, this means everything to me. And then the distribution model is we're funneling them into live selling breaks. A friggin' carnival game. It's wild to me, guys. Hey, but you know what? I'm the old man. I'm the idiot. I don't know anything about it. I'm just some moron, that's not 20, that doesn't know everything. The only people that are really making out in this whole deal are the breaking companies. The breaking companies are the ones that are making money. It's not anyone buying into breaks. Yes, you've got the one-off guy that won on the lottery ticket, and then you've got 90% that did not. So how are we keeping people in? How are we growing that way? The focus has to be on, what really the focus should be on? There's billions of people in this world. Really the idea should be is that not everybody is Shine 150. We don't need another guy. We don't need more Shine 150s. We don't. What we need are families, guys like myself, that, their family gets into it and they've got a small collection of whatever player that they like. They don't necessarily have to spend $1 zillion on trading cards, but you've got enough of these families, it becomes more mainstream. Everybody's collecting a little bit of a something, and that's cool. It's cool again. We're all kind of collecting this, but we don't have to spend a small fortune, but you're doing it in volume. You're picking up new customers because you've got good products, good prices. You've got good lower end options as well. You've got a distribution model where people can actually get into cards and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. This has become a rich man's hobby. And what's the sad part is there's people that don't necessarily have the money that I know. The kid wants to get into it. They're throwing the hobby box on the credit card and getting absolutely smoked. They're gone. They're not coming back. It's, hey buddy, sorry, you need to find a new hobby because mom and dad can't afford to keep doing this. So what is it going to be? And I think we're really at a turning point. Are we diving in? Are we going like full force? We're going gambling products. That's how we're going to do our distribution model. Or are we going to make it so that it's easier to get cards into people's hands so that they can actually become a collector, stay in it, stay interested in it, while at the same time promote what you've already done. Tops, you've already got decades and decades and decades, 70 plus years of cards that you made. Focus on those. Where are those commercials? Where are the commercials talking about Willie Mays and what he meant to baseball? And then you look at the amazing cards in the 50s for Willie Mays or Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw is actually, he's here. He can talk about it. What did that card mean to you? What was going on during that time? Talk about the history of football. Talk about the history of basketball. There means, man, if you want the mainstream to really think this is cool, then get into the minds of people with the history of trading cards and cardboard, because there's so much to be told there. There's so much information there that I think people would really enjoy. I think people would really think like, wow, this is a really neat hobby. Yes, you can speculate on stuff, and yes, you can do some of the gambling stuff. Great. The gambling stuff honestly should be 10 to 15%. It shouldn't be 80, 90%, and we're just putting all of our eggs in that basket. We're going to grow the hobby with gambling. It's like, come the flip on. All right, I'm running long on the video today because my rant got out of control. Guys, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll talk to you again later.